The colonel scoffed at her PT excuse. Then she took off her coat and exposed a war wound. The gym was quiet except for the rhythmic thud of boots on the floor. Sweat glistened on the recruits' faces, and the colonel's sharp eyes scanned the room like a hawk hunting prey. She stepped up, slightly behind schedule, hands raised in a standard PT excuse, her voice calm but firm. I had a minor injury, sir. Could I skip the run today?" The colonel scoffed. His lips curled into a mix of disbelief and derision. "In my unit," he said, voice sharp and unyielding, "injury or not, everyone keeps pace. Excuses don't win battles." She nodded, silent, her posture straight, and her eyes never wavered from his. There was something in that gaze he didn't expect, a quiet resolve that spoke louder than words. Her peers shifted uneasily, expecting confrontation, maybe even a verbal reprimand. But what happened next stunned everyone in the room. With a deliberate motion, she reached for her coat. Hands steady, she peeled it off and revealed the truth beneath. A war wound, clean, precise, yet unmistakable. Scars threaded across her torso, evidence of a mission most people wouldn't survive. The room went still, breaths stopped. The colonel's smirk faltered, replaced by a flicker of recognition, the kind reserved for those who had been tested in fire and survived. He had scoffed at a lie, only to confront a truth that carried weight no excuse could ever match. Welcome back to United War, where courage, sacrifice, and the untold stories of warriors are revealed. In that instant, the dynamics in the room changed. Respect replaced doubt, silence replaced chatter, and everyone understood this was not a soldier to be underestimated. Because behind the coat wasn't just a wound, it was a story of survival, of battles fought where no one watched, and of bravery that didn't need recognition. And this was only the beginning.
The gym stayed quiet, but the tension in the air was thick enough to cut with a knife. The colonel's eyes flicked to her wound again, this time not with skepticism, but with curiosity, a mixture of respect and disbelief. She didn't speak immediately. Instead, she let the room absorb the reality. Every scar told a story, every line a battle survived. Finally, she exhaled and began to speak, her voice steady, measured, and commanding attention without demanding it. "This," she said, gesturing to the scar running along her ribs, "was from a mission in Helmand Province, a convoy ambush. I was hit while shielding my team. No one knew I was down until the extraction team arrived." Whispers ran through the room, hushed, incredulous. Some recruits turned their eyes away, others leaned in, unable to look away. This wasn't a tale from a textbook, this was first-hand proof of courage under fire. The colonel's expression shifted. There was no longer a trace of doubt. His skepticism gave way to something heavier, recognition of experience. "You kept running PT after this?" he asked, incredulous. She nodded. "Every mission doesn't come with a day off. You adapt, you endure, you finish what you start." For a moment, the colonel simply studied her. His sharp, disciplined gaze softened just slightly. In that instant, he realized that this was not a soldier seeking approval. This was a warrior whose life had already been measured in stakes far higher than push-ups or timed runs. She straightened her posture, scanning the room. The recruits who had laughed or whispered when she gave her excuse now watched in stunned silence. Some even felt a pang of guilt, realizing they had underestimated her. "I didn't come here for accolades," she said quietly, "or to prove anything. But make no mistake, I will not let excuses dictate performance, and neither should you." The colonel's smirk disappeared entirely. He straightened, drawing himself to full height. Respect, earned, not given, radiated from him now. And as the room absorbed her words, everyone knew this wasn't just about PT or a wound. It was about a standard that couldn't be argued with, a truth that could only be felt in the weight of experience. Outside the gym, a storm was brewing, not of weather, but of challenges that would push every soldier in that room to their limits. And she was ready, because her past had already forged her into something no drill or command could ever break.
The gym was no longer just a place for routine exercise. Every eye followed her, every mind trying to gauge just how far this soldier could push beyond what they thought possible. The colonel cleared his throat, voice sharp and commanding, but now layered with a grudging respect. "Very well," he said. "If your past is proof, then let's see your present. Full PT circuit, no excuses. You lead." A murmur ran through the recruits. Lead? She? The same woman who had been scoffed at minutes ago? Yet there was no hesitation in her eyes, only calm focus. She nodded once and moved to the starting line. Her every motion was precise, trained, not flashy, not showy, just efficiency perfected over years of hardship. As the recruits followed, the colonel watched her closely. Every push-up, every sprint, every lift was executed with quiet intensity. But it wasn't the physical skill that impressed him. It was the command presence she exuded without speaking. The recruits who had doubted her moments ago now struggled to keep pace. Some stumbled, some gasped for air, some tried to mimic her form, all realizing that her endurance wasn't just natural, it was forged in combat. Halfway through the circuit, the colonel called out a challenge, a set of grueling exercises designed to push the strongest soldier to their limit. She didn't flinch, she didn't complain. She simply adjusted her stance, engaged her core, and began. Each repetition measured, each movement perfect. Sweat dripped down her brow, but her focus never wavered. And then came the final test, a long, exhausting sprint with full gear, something most seasoned recruits would struggle to complete. She took a deep breath, tightened her grip on the weighted vest, and ran. Every stride carried not just speed, but experience. Every breath was disciplined. Every movement screamed resilience. By the time she crossed the finish line, the room was silent, broken only by the heavy breathing of those trying to keep up. The colonel finally spoke, voice low but carrying the weight of acknowledgement. "I scoffed," he admitted, eyes meeting hers. "I misjudged you." She looked back, unwavering. Don't misjudge anyone again, especially someone who's already been to hell and came back. The recruits stared in awe, and even the colonel's hardened expression softened. Respect had replaced doubt, admiration replacing skepticism. The lesson was clear. Experience and courage can't be measured by excuses, words, or appearances, only by action. And outside that gym, the battles she had survived were still invisible to everyone else. But here, today, her story had spoken louder than any command ever could. The gym was quiet now, except for the faint echoes of footsteps and the distant hum of equipment. The recruits had stopped moving, breathless and humbled, their eyes following her every motion. The colonel approached slowly, his boots heavy on the polished floor. He stopped a few feet away, arms crossed, studying her, not as a subordinate, not as a recruit, but as someone who had earned something that no rank could bestow. "I thought you were making excuses," he said, voice steady but layered with an unfamiliar respect. "I scoffed at what I thought was weakness." She didn't smile. She didn't flinch. She simply lifted her coat slightly, letting the war wound peak again, a reminder of the missions, the sacrifices, and the battles fought far from medals and headlines. "I didn't make excuses," she replied. "I made survival a priority, and I never ran from the fight, even when it was invisible to everyone else." The colonel's eyes softened. Years of experience, discipline, and authority had never prepared him for this quiet confrontation. Respect wasn't something he could demand, it had to be earned. And now, standing before him, she had earned it tenfold. He gestured toward the recruits. "Take note. This is what discipline looks like. This is what courage looks like. And this is what we should all aspire to. Not excuses, not shortcuts, not fear." She nodded once, acknowledging the lesson without arrogance. Her body told the story her words couldn't fully convey. The scars, the precision, the unwavering resolve. For a long moment, neither spoke. The room was silent, but it was a silence full of understanding. The recruits absorbed it, some ashamed of their earlier doubts, others inspired in ways that would last a lifetime. Finally, the colonel straightened, voice firm but quiet. "You've proven more than fitness or discipline. You've proven character. I misjudged you, and I won't make that mistake again." She adjusted her coat, covering the wound once more, and met his gaze with calm certainty. "Then let's ensure no one else underestimates what true experience looks like." The colonel nodded, a rare smile touching his lips. Not approval, not pride, something deeper, recognition. As she walked out of the gym, the morning sunlight caught the edge of her coat, the faint glint of scars beneath, the proof of battles fought in shadows where no one watched. And though the world outside would never know the full story, inside that room, a lesson had been etched into memory. Bravery, resilience, and sacrifice are not measured by excuses, but by the courage to show up and endure again and again. And in that moment, she became more than a soldier. She became a living example of what it truly meant to fight, survive, and command respect.